Hey, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, and Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, the great millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to hopeful elect. All right, the title of this article says, India and China face off again at border as troops move in, right? I read this article. You can read the article. You can just really Google it, because I read it on Yahoo News yesterday. But you can read this article. Basically, India and China, they right by each other. They share. There's a landmass that they're disputing over. Basically, China is crouching upon what it seems. It seems like China is trying to move in on Indian territory. Okay. There was wars in the past, and it's been like a ceasefire between the two countries since like the 60s or whatever. There's been peace, so to speak. Basically, kind of like a Cold War between India and China, and and so the Chinese to have troops in this area, and the India find them, and then they had hand to hand combat. They'll beat each other with bats, but they won't use weapons. They won't use like firearms and things like that, because they consider that an act of war, and they don't want to. It's tricky because both of these nations have nuclear capability. See, both of these nations have nuclear capability, and furthermore, India is backed up by the USA. At this moment, as we speak, India and the USA are allies. So it's getting very tense in the world. Those are two superpowers. And then they right there. They share a border. They two neighboring superpowers that's on the brink of war. And then the talk is the language that they're using. When they have representatives address the situation, it's aggressive language. It's not politically correct language. It's aggressive language. So with that being said, this is Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. See, the Lord got the spirit of war out. The spirit of war is out there. All right.
And Jesus said unto them, Say ye not all
Yeah, the spirit of war out there. Matter of fact, let's get the Joel. Joel. It says, it's a lock yet. I could have read that. It says, Joel 3:1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. That word plead is judge, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right, so the Lord is eventually, all the nations going to be gathered into that Middle Eastern area. All right, because that's where that's the hotbed of the conflict, because you got Israel, you got Syria, you got Iran, and those various alliances and various agreements with these various small countries, as now it's overlapping interests, Now you got to choose sides, and make a stance. So the Lord, like the scripture said, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. He got that spirit out there, and it's all for the controversy of Zion. Okay. It said Isaiah 34:8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Right. So the Lord is finally going to take vengeance, and the Lord is finally going to plead for his people and for all these different nations. But what he's going to use the nations to destroy themselves and then he's gonna help finish them off. Then he gonna come and help finish them off, basically. Matter of fact, let's get that. Second Esdras. I believe. Let me see. Let me see. Is this it? I can read this. This is 2 Esdras 13 and 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. See, India and China, you got what's going on over there? Wisconsin. What is that? Wisconsin, Kenosha. You got the people's rioting. The one white boy, 17-year-old kid drove from Illinois to Wisconsin to fight against people in one city to fight against another city, and they said, and over half of the people that they arrested was from out of town. All right. Right. Here you go. Okay. Verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. See, they gonna be fighting each other already. World War III gonna be popping off, and then the Lord gonna make like a grand entrance, like the Lord gonna be fashionably late, so to speak. But he ain't never late. He always on time. But you know how the phrase go, fashionably late. They already gonna be warring. Then the Lord gonna come in the midst of that. It says, and when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. Right. But so they gon' basically, you remember when, what was that? The first George Bush, he said, what if there was a force? What if all these nations had to put our differences aside to fight a force coming from outer space, roughly paraphrasing? This is what he was talking about. It says, but he, talking about Yahushua, shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, which is Israel, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill, graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me. All right. Now, So with that, Lord willing, this was the edified, blessed, hopefully elect. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Kakudash. Shalom.